a Q&A. The last time I did one was when I first started this channel and I had hardly any questions. This time I've got 27 questions, and I have called some questions because they were going to get covered in the other questions, or they was the same as the other questions. I wrote them down because I asked in 3 separate places. I asked on my homeschool, Home Educating the Mad Lads Facebook blog. I asked on my personal Facebook account, and I asked him in a homeschoolers YouTubers group on Facebook. But if there's I don't answer that you'd like to know, just say in comments and I'll do another one. Or I'm not going to spend forever answering them because my camera cuts out after half an hour and nobody wants a dead long video anyway. So if there's that you want me to answer in more depth, tell me as well, because I can always do a whole video on something. So here you go. Question 1. How do you manage home educating multiple ages? It's going to change as time goes on, and it's changed already. But at the moment my oldest kids are 9 and 8, and my youngest kids are 3 and 4. When I had a baby, I generally had the baby strapped to me. All these early videos on my channel of Pinky, who's 3, as a baby, she's strapped to me a lot of the time. Or when baby's asleep. But at the moment, as it stands, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I do that when I'm filming. I don't do it normally, hardly. What works for me is either the 2 oldest kids, the 9-year-old and the 8-year-old, I'll do them one at a time, and while we're doing the work together, the other kid will play with the little 2, or the little 2 will sit at the table and colour or draw or do Play-Doh, or I'll have like a tough spot near the table where they'll do sensory play, like put stuff in the tough spot. Or if it's really, not all the time, don't judge me, only occasionally, if it's really not working, I engage the services of Peppa Pig and let them watch Peppa Pig, because we only have the one telly, so they can have their choices then. And then when the big 2 want their choice with the telly or to play whatever on the telly, then I'll do something really fun or play with the little 2. But I don't do that very often, so don't judge me. When it's nice weather, it's really easy, because if I'm doing it in the kitchen, I can see out the window, and one kid will go off with the little 2 in the garden, and we'll see them playing and pottering around on trampoline and stuff, and I can see them. And then the old 2 switch over. Question 2. How do or would you handle family or friends dismissing parents being able to home educate? You don't realise until you start homeschooling how conditioned you are to thinking that school is the only place kids can learn. So if you announce that you're going to homeschool or home educate, and people are like, oh, and they're full of concerns, sometimes they're not being nasty, they are just genuinely concerned. And the best thing you can do there is just do it anyway, and as you continue, it should show how it's working for you and working for your kids, and they'll either accept it because they've got to, because you're doing it anyway, or they'll see that there is another way and it's working for you. However, in the rare cases where they don't accept it and it becomes quite nasty and toxic, cut them off. And I know that sounds harsh, but I know somebody whose family keeps ringing social services on them because they're homeschooling, and it's like, there's no need for that. They're giving you unnecessary stress. Your kids aren't at school, then you should just deal with it. And the other thing you can say to those people, especially if it's a parent, is, look, you brought me up to do what I think was right, and to be an independent adult and follow my own decisions, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing what I think is best. Question 3. What was the main reason you decided home ed? Our oldest, Pudge, who's 9, we tried 3 different nurseries. He hated it, and not just normal screaming then settled down after a couple of days. We was weeks in and he was screaming and screaming, and there was one point where a nursery nurse had to physically hold him back while he was screaming for me and left the room, and it wasn't getting any better. Every single nursery we tried was the same. and he was becoming quite fretty and upset and not wanting to play with the kids when he'd been really sociable before. And the second nursery, we tried 3 nurseries. The second nursery we tried gave him mushrooms, and he's allergic to mushrooms. I wasn't even apologetic that they nearly killed him. So, question 4. Have you had any negative comments, and if so, how do you deal with them? I've had loads of negative comments. At the beginning, it used to really upset me. It really bother me, and I used to take it to heart, and I used to think, what if they're right? But the more I've gone on with it and seen that it is the right thing for us, it works for us, the less bothered I am by them negative comments. And a lot of the time it's ignorance, because they don't understand your way of life, or it's jealousy, or they're just not nice people. I walk past, not the main school nursery up here, the preschool for like 2-year-olds, where you can send them if you want, and there were a load of mothers stood outside, and one on them, well, 2 of them I knew. One was a friend, and one was somebody who didn't particularly like me anyway, which again is her issue, not mine. And the one who didn't like me anyway says to the other mothers, hey, you know where kids don't go to school, and I saw one of them weeing on the park. So I mean, if there are problems with them, frankly, if they have nothing else to talk about, they'll be like, why can't we talk about Victoria? We always talk about Victoria. If it's not about Victoria, it's about laundry detergents. Anyway, where are we? So just let it go. It doesn't matter. The only person that matters is you, your kids, your partner. Ignore everybody else. Doesn't matter. Question 5. Did you always want home ed? No. But I come from but I never wanted to send him to school full time either. I probably would have done if my oldest had gone with it and been happy there. I wouldn't. It's not anything I particularly wanted to do, but I would have sent him if he was happy. But I'm from a traveller family. The husband's got circus connections, so we come from like a community where it's not abnormal for your kids to go to school in winter, but not go in spring, summer, beginning of autumn because you're travelling. So it just never really, I never thought about it, and I think I blanked it out because me and the husband had such bad times at school that we just blanked it out and didn't think about it until it came on us. I remember when my oldest son turned 2, and I thought, I've got a year till he starts nursery when he's 3, and it was just such a sinking feeling. It felt like a ticking clock. But like I say, if he'd have enjoyed it, I'd have sent him. But it wasn't something I dreamed of doing. Question 6. What do you say to people who ask, but you'll put your kid into senior school, right? When you definitely won't be. When I first started homeschooling and I was really unsure of myself, I used to say things like, when people were telling me I was wrong, or picking me apart about what I was doing, I used to say things like, oh well, when he's 7 and he starts junior school, we'll send him, and I used to say that to make it more palatable for other people and to give me that out if it didn't work. Now I don't do that. I don't have to explain myself to anybody. That's how much I've changed since I started homeschooling. Now I just say, well, it's up to him if he wants to go or not, isn't it? Which is the truth. Question 7. How do you not stress, or what do you do when you feel overwhelmed? If it's nice weather, go out. It's so much easier if you just if you go out. Kids are like dogs, they need exercising. And if you go out, I mean, this won't work for everybody, but for me, if I go into nature, if I'm just outside, I feel so much better and so much calmer almost instantly. If the weather's bad, then if you're homeschooling, you're on your own schedule. You don't have to do anything really. If it's a bad day, just don't do it. If you want to watch films and eat cake, do it. Show your kids how to self-care. And also, if they're little, a good one is put them in water, give them a bath, let them splish splash in the bath. Everybody cheers up. And just remind yourself that these are the happiest years of your life, and you'll never be more loved than you are at the moment. Question 8. How do you keep motivation going for yourself and your kids to keep working? I tell you what, My oldest Pudge, who's 9, we think he's dyslexic. But an individual assessment's £500 and there's coronavirus going around at the minute and all that stuff. But I bought him a workbook, a spelling workbook with a timer on it, a 10-minute timer. He used to stress, so because of, you know, his condition we think he's got, he used to stress so much about spelling. But because it's got a 10-minute timer, he can see the light at the end of the tunnel and it keeps him motivated. And how much can I do in this 10 minutes? Now I've only got 10 minutes, hang on, this ain't going to go on forever. And that helps keep him motivated. The thing that helps me keep motivated is doing things that we want to do, like asking them what they want to learn, reading books that they enjoy, things like that, making sure it's not a chore. Plus it's just become my life, that's just what we do. Question 9, how do you know what to teach and when? We just go with the flow, what they're interested in, what comes up. Although, when something comes up like, it was the 75th anniversary of VE Day, or it's St George's Day, or Bonfire Night, I think, oh, that's helpful, because that gives me an idea of what to do, or what to learn. Question 10, what encouraged your choice to home ed? I never used to be this confident. I used to beat myself. What, God? Hang on, Bobo. I've either got till somebody comes, or I'll just do a few and then break off and then come back because they want to go for a walk. This is going to be a long video anyway, isn't it? So question 10, what encouraged your choice to home ed? Blogs and blogs. I knew one person who was going to home educate, and we're big mates now, but at the time I didn't know her very well. I just know her at playgroup, so I didn't really know anybody, and everybody kept telling me I was wrong and I shouldn't do it. So it was only when I looked at YouTube channels and Facebook blogs and saw other families doing it, it made me think, well, I can do it. Especially the late Andrew Mills, bless her. And that's one of the reasons I started my blog and channel, because I wanted to be that person for somebody else, to encourage somebody else. So when people tell me that I've helped them or encouraged them, it makes me happy, because it makes me feel like I've given something back, you know what I mean? And it's chapter 11 then. Question 11, have all your children enjoyed it, or are any curious or wish they went to school? No. The other day I did a video about France banning homeschool in France, and I told the kids that France had banned homeschool, and my oldest Pudge said that he'd rather super glue himself to the ceiling than go to school. If any of them do want to go to school, we'll have that conversation, and if you know, that is what they want, they can go. But because even if you homeschool and all of a sudden they want to go to school and they go to school, it doesn't mean that time that they was homeschooled was wasted. It was still a valuable time, and it also shows that you give them that voice to tell you when they want a change, which is also a good thing. If any of them ever do want to go, I think it will be bod, but at the moment none of them do. So question 12, how do you feel about home edding becoming more of a thing as a result of COVID? Is it positive or irritating to you, seeing as you have previously faced criticism from schooling mums? I think it's a good thing people are waking up and seeing that homeschooling's good, or that they're exercising their parental rights to keep their children at home safe while they feel they need to. But I tell you what does irritate me. Well, it doesn't irritate. I'll start with what worries me. What worries me is the higher the numbers of homeschool families get, the more likely the government are to ban it or interfere with it in some way. What irritates me slightly is during the proper lockdown we had, when schools shut, everybody going, oh, we're homeschooling now, oh, homeschooling's so hard, or homeschooling's so awful. But I was like, that isn't homeschooling. You're not doing what we normally do. What we normally do doesn't look like this. So don't start off about how awful it is for kids, because what we normally do isn't like that. It isn't isolation, what we normally do. Normally we're out and about seeing people. So that annoyed me a little bit. Or everyone become an expert on it after doing it for 2 days, and it weren't even what we normally do. And they're getting all the work from school. Question 13. What would your advice be to someone doing home ed for the first time? Just do it. I spent months and months and months agonising over it, breaking my heart over it, looking into it. I can't get these boots on. Looking into it. As soon as I just did it, it was fine. And the other one is de-school yourself. You don't realise how conditioned you are to think that learning can only happen in school the way they do it in school. Take that time to de-school yourself and learn that there is another way. Don't stress about it looking like school, because it doesn't need to. Question 14. What is your greatest challenge? Winter. I struggle in winter. If I'm overwhelmed or stressed, I need to get outside, and in winter you can't always do that. And this winter I won't even have the kids' clubs and stuff, because none of the clubs have started up again around here. So yeah, winter. But I don't particularly like winter anyway, even if I'm not homeschooling. Question 15. What has been the most unexpected benefit of homeschooling? The most unexpected benefit, believe it or not, is not to do with the kids, it's to do with me and the husband. It's made me so much more confident in my opinions and going against the grain and not caring about what other people's criticisms. And it's the same for the husband. It's not changed who we are, it's just made us more confident in being who we already was anyway. Like I say at the beginning of this, I was like, oh well, we might homeschool, but if it don't work, we'll put them in school. And now I'm just like, yeah, we homeschool. It's made us more confident as adults and parents. Question 16. If you could only pick 3 things to teach your kids, what would it be? Maths, because you always need to add up. English language, reading and writing, because you're always going to need to read and write nowadays. And the last one would be English literature, because if you're reading books, you're learning so much anyway. I mean, the Charlotte Mason approach to homeschooling is using living books and learning a variety of subjects from reading books anyway. You can learn so much from reading books. So English literature, English language and maths. Question 17. Favourite curriculum and why? I only use one curriculum. It's called Exploring Nature with Children. I'll link the video below, because I did a video about it, and there's like a code where you can go buy one. It's reasonably priced. It's a whole year's worth of nature activities, and you can do as much as you like or as little as you like. You can dip in and out of it. Nature will always be there, so it will last you for years and years and years. I can't rigidly stick to something, and my kids can't either. So for us, that's the ideal thing. We can just dip in and out on it. Some years we do more than others. It lasts for years and years and years. Yeah, that one. Exploring Nature with Children. Question 18. Favourite read aloud. I love all of them. I just love reading to my kids. So I asked the older 2 kids. Pudge, who's 9, said the famous 5 books by Enid Blyton, and Bean, who's 8, said, I can't get my boot on. Bean, who's 8, said Amelia Jane by Enid Blyton, which is about a naughty doll. I do like the Jacqueline Wilson books though, and I like reading them things that I enjoyed as a kid, because seeing like how wonderful it is to them and thinking how wonderful it was for me is just nice. Question 19. What is your favourite homeschool field trip? I asked Pudge and Bean this again, and Pudge said the seaside and Bean said the seaside. I used to like, it's not open this year because of COVID, but I used to like go into the steam train museum with my mum, and all the kids, because you walked across the fields, which was a lovely walk anyway, and then the kids all really enjoyed it, and my mum always come with us, so it was nice to have time with my mum as well. So that's my favourite. Question 20. Do you test or grade your kids' work? No, I don't. Luckily in this country, in England, we don't have to do anything like that yet. But like I say, the more people that homeschool, the more I worry the government's going to interfere and make us. I don't, especially things like art, I don't think you should grade kids on art. Art's subjective. If they put the heart and soul into a picture and you grade it and tell them it's not good, if it's art, if you like it, it's not wrong. Look at Jackson Pollock stuff. I think that's rubbish. He's just splatting bits of paint on a thing, but it's subjective. Other people find it dead moving. You shouldn't grade art. And my oldest Pudge does not cope well with tests and things like that anyway, so no, I would not want to put him on. Chapter 21, what curriculums do you use? The only one is that Exploring Nature with Children. Other than that, I don't bother with curriculums. Question 22, do you have a homeschool space? You don't need a homeschool room, you can do it anywhere. And now we live here, and I've got a kitchen big enough for a table and chairs. We do quite a bit at the table. But sometimes we do it on the sofa, cuddled up. Read aloud times at bedtime, so they're in the beds, and I'm sat on the floor reading to them. Allotment, walks, nature's classroom. You can do it anywhere, but I do use the kitchen quite a bit now. I've got a bigger kitchen. And all my homeschool books are shoved in cupboards in the kitchen where food should be. That's why sometimes you see, when in my videos you see stuff piled up on side, it's because I haven't placed for it yet, because my actual food cupboards, not all of them, but some of them have got homeschool books in. Question 23, what is your favourite subject to teach and do with your kids? I like art, when you let them just draw or paint, or you have an idea, and I don't rigidly stick to a craft. I'll show them what it is and then they can interpret it how they like. I love going down the allotment gardening with them, going for a walk, which you class as nature study, wouldn't you? And I love read aloud at time. I love reading to them and exploring new books with them. Chapter 25, why do I keep saying chapter? Question 24, what is the oddest thing to you about homeschoolers in the States? An American person asked me this, so I don't think she was taking the mick. But I can't answer that. Do you know, about 80% of the people who follow me are from America, even though I'm English. And I can't answer that. I don't think I was particularly odd. The only things that are odd to me are the language differences, but that's not a homeschool thing, and that'd be the same for any other country. Same as, you know, they probably think some of the things I say is weird. I got a lady who watches my channel just because she likes my accent. Because I'm English. I'm terribly posh. Question 25, who is your role model? Haven't got one. I've got bits and pieces of people that, you know, that inspire me. Who's that? Bob Bod. But just be yourself, you don't need a role model. Just checking it recording. Right, it's a good job I've only got 2 questions left. Question 26. At least I said question and not chapter. What was the biggest challenge for you in your personal school experience? So many. Being away from my mum. When I was, just before I was 4 and started nursery, I screamed because I did not want to be separated from my mum. And in the end my mum had to go in and volunteer to help with snack time so that she was there. Then at infant school, when I was about 4 or 5, there was a dinner lady that was really horrible to me. So I wouldn't stop dinners. My mum had to take me home dinner time. Anyway, when that nasty dinner lady got the sack, my mum got her job. And one of the reasons she'd gone for it was so that I'd go to school at dinner time because I didn't want to separate from her. And yeah, I'm 33 now. I still don't like being separated from my mum. I never moved far from my mum. So the other thing was having to go. I hated it. Primary school weren't so bad, but secondary school, or you call it high school in America, was awful. Worst years of my life, and I'm including when I was infertile. The worst years of my life. My husband says the same because he went to the same school as me. Bullies, not being accepted, not being in the clique, being frightened to try things because you're going to get bullied, or you're just going to be like you're not there. Yeah, and that and it took me a long time to get over that. It's only now I'm in my 30s that if I want to do something I'll go for it without worrying about how people are going to drag me down about it. Yeah. Question 27. If you could sit and chat with anyone for 2 uninterrupted hours, who would it be? My husband. It's not very often me and my husband get 2 hours uninterrupted where we can have a chat. And if we do, it's often at night where we're too tired to talk anyway. Plus he works nights, he's on a totally different time scale to me a lot of the time. So yeah, it'd be quite nice to have 2 hours with my husband for a chat. Or my mum. When my mum comes, I just talk at her, because I've not seen her, and I have to tell her quick stuff before kids interrupt. And before I had kids, we used to go out together all the time, all over the place, and just chat. So I do miss that. But then again, there's a season in life for everything, isn't there? I'm so grateful to that. I'm so grateful that I've got kids. One day there won't be kids anymore, they'll be grown up, and then I'll be able to chat to my husband as much as I want, and it'll probably be about how much we miss the kids. Same as I'll be able to go see my mum and chat and interrupt as much as I want. And again, we'll probably talk about how much we miss the kids being kids. So, you know. I don't know if I was meant to say a famous person then, or... I don't know. I'd quite like to know... Yeah. I don't know, because if you say people you really like, famous people, if you met them, it'd ruin the illusion. There'd be a disappointment, wouldn't they? So no. But I did ask the older 2 kids this one as well. Pudge said daddy, you know, the husband, and Beanie said his friend Jack, his homeschool friend Jack. Yeah, I'm sorry if that's really long, or if you feel it weren't long enough because I rushed the questions. I was just very aware of the interview being too long, and the kids want to go for a walk, and Bod keeps coming up. And but if there's anything you want me to go into more detail about, or do a whole video on, just tell me in the comments. Or if there's anything else you want me to answer, just tell me in the comments. So I hope that was alright for you. Oh, I'm all creaky. See you next time for a brand new video. Bye bye.